How we doing, everybody? Unfortunately, it's not The Rock, it's Dak here. But if you want to be as big as The Rock, then get on to M Products, proud sponsors of our first episode, shortest episode that is, with Gordon Duncan. Cracking episode, cracking sponsor. If you smell what the dak is cooking.
Gordon, thanks for coming on, mate. We really appreciate you giving up your time. For all our listeners and viewers, this is a brand new format for us. We're going to be doing short episodes, 30, 35 minutes long. So hopefully it's something you'll enjoy.
Yeah, brilliant to have Gordon, by the way. What a way to dive right in, right at the top of the tree. Gordon, mate, excuse PG, by the way, because I think he'll be a wee bit starstruck because he fancies himself as the next Gordon Duncan, mate.
So listen, to be fair, his hair is looking a bit more trim than mine, and his beard certainly is as well. I'm looking at a disgrace. I can't believe I've gone for the full lockdown look on the camera. You get away with this stuff on radio, not so much on here, but
have you look alike now? Have you look alike here, the two of you now? PG was growing that, especially for the day.
I know. I used to shave my head, so I've seen you on Twitter and I thought, I want to look like him.
Must be. Listen, this is just to try and cover up the baby face. Absolutely anything to do that.
Brilliant. Right, well, Gordon, we're just going to get started. Can you tell us a wee bit about how you started in your kind of broadcasting and then how you've moved on to Clyde 1?
Yeah, it's pretty boring story, so I'll try and give you the quick version. Always what I wanted to do. As soon as I realised that I was not good enough to play football, talking about it seemed like the next best thing. So I started picking up like kind of different bits of work experience with Peter Martin, who you might know now on like PLZ Soccer and stuff like that. Used to be on SuperScoreBoard. He was a neighbour, and I did like work experience in it at Clyde 1 and stuff with him at school. So that was back then, and it was just like a kind of bit of a kind of dream and idea. And luckily, he allowed me to start covering games at the weekend. I think like somebody was sick one day, and I was like 19, and he just phoned me up and said, "Will you go and do a game for SuperScoreBoard?" Which, looking back on it, was mental. I can't believe he trusted that I could do it. I was shitting myself as well, but yeah, went and did that. That kind of bred on to doing some more stuff, and then I went to uni and did a postgrad in broadcast journalism and kind of married it all together. Started working in news and sport at Clyde 1, and then just really grew from there. I was a sports reporter, like the guys who go to the grounds now, and then when Jerry McCulloch left, it was time to kind of move into his role, and here we are. This is the end of my fourth season now, so I've come towards the end of my fourth season.
I think being 19-year-old, your arse must have collapsed getting told, we need you to cover a game.
Terrible. Like, because the thing is, it's one of those ones that I've had it twice in my life. First that day, and then also when I got the phone call to ask to take over the show. The exact same feeling where I was shitting myself, but you kind of know like that's too good an opportunity to turn down, and like sink or swim sort of thing, and you just need to take it. So the exact same feeling. It was St Mirren Dundee United at the old Love Street, one of the last games there, I think, and he turned up without any notepad or anything like that. I was all over the place. They send like an engineer came with me to set up the piece of equipment and stuff like that, because I was completely clueless, completely out the cold. But it can't have gone too badly, because I would maybe spend the afternoon speaking to you lovely gents if it had gone tits up back then.
No, listen, Peter Martin must have an eye for talent, Gordon, the way it's worked out for you.
Well, listen, he took a huge chance, that's for sure, I'd imagine back then, and I'll be forever grateful for that sort of thing. That's what you need, I guess. You need somebody, and that's why I've always kind of tried, like, see if anyone gets in touch to, I don't know, it's a bit different now because, lockdown, whatever, but anytime work experience people have been in, or podcasts or students or whatever, I'm always just kind of keen, because you need somebody to treat you the way you'd want to be treated, you know what I mean?
That's ideal for me, Gordon, because the way you come across on the radio, it's good to see that you're obviously still humble and all that, and remember where you came from. Maybe if Peter or yourself want to take me or PG under your wing, mate, then know where to find us.
No problem at all.
Peter's just been kicked off of Celtic TV for his commentaries, so we'll maybe stick with Gordon. Gordon, basically, it was explained to you before, this kind of short series that we're doing is so that people can see a different side to football instead of just hearing managers and players talking. When you're 19-year-old and you're going to do St Mirren Dundee United, what kind of stuff do you do on the day of a match? Just a kind of wee quick summary of what's involved.
So I was reporting at games. It's kind of a similar format now, although unfortunately I need to do it for every game rather than just one at a time. But I would always like the website I would always go to is SoccerBase. I don't know if you ever use SoccerBase. That was just always, I just found it dead user friendly in terms of being able to look at like recent results, and then you can just quickly click on and it'll bring up the team. So I would always kind of start by looking at the team that played the last game, and then that way I'd be able to figure out how many changes were made once I get the team lines from that day. Kind of form, maybe pick out a couple of key players. Like, you can't do it for everyone. It's not like it's a full commentary, so just a couple of players, how many goals they've got, and then maybe anything that's come up through the week, something significant that a player has said, or a player's back from suspension, or a player's back from injury, and just really a couple of kind of bullet points like that, just to try and do that for each team. And then also maybe a kind of head-to-head of what's been like the last few times they've played. You don't want to turn up at a St Mirren Dundee United game and forget that this time last year they had a 10-goal thriller and a 5 each draw. Do you know what I mean? So I would always look for a wee bit of the kind of head-to-head, a bit of their form, who played the previous games, and just anything else that jumps out. It's kind of easy now in the social media age, just a quick look on Twitter and stuff like that as well, or maybe tell you anything that needs to be kind of remembered. So that was kind of my blueprint for every game, really. And I've still got all the notebooks and stuff. It's the same sort of. I'd almost just kind of split the paper, St Mirren on that side, Dundee United on that side, and then write the teams, and then the match report. Always just kind of wee bullet points, and then just did that. I never, when I first started, I would like write it all out and try and read it, but that just sounds like you're reading it then. So I would always just make wee bullet points and do the reports for there. So pretty boring explanation of what goes into a match. It
just shows you, doesn't it, the preparation that goes behind these things, Gordon. Especially where you might only be on for like a couple of minutes, just getting the feedback in it. So it's brilliant to see, because everybody thinks it's the players that put in all the work and all that, but your pundits and that as well, they always need to put in a shift.
And listen, maybe some do, some don't, and I'd be lying. I'm sure there are days where I don't know, whatever I've been up to, maybe I have turned up and been winging it a few times, and it's like circumstances change. But I think it's just always good to just to try and know what you're talking about. It's like the most simple advice of all time. But I think if you try and wing it too long, you just get caught out. There's too much going on.
That's the thing, Gordon. Lucky we cover the rest of Scotland, because I've been winging this for day one, mate. You know what I mean?
Quiet season for you so far, then.
I know. We've picked the
exactly
to start it. See, in terms of doing the games when you were doing the reporting and stuff, was there ever any games that you went to that kind of really stuck out in your mind, or was there ever any mistakes that you've made that you thought, oh shit?
Yeah, I mean, it's sticking out in my mind. There are loads. The obvious one is Lee Griffiths' 2 free kicks for Scotland against England, because I was an absolute disgrace, like the way I was conducting. I was at Hampden. This press box is kind of split into 2 levels, so a lot of the written journalists are down kind of nearer the touchline, nearer the tunnel, and then the broadcast are up on like a gantry way up high. But it's pretty quiet up there. There's not really that many, so it was like us at the Sky, maybe in their own front, some others. And I was like running up and down the gantry, jumping up and down, going off my nut, like so unprofessional. But it's kind of once in a lifetime, and it's Scotland as well, so you're allowed to be a bit biased. You can't really get away with that at a club game when you've got the visiting fans and all that. But and then right behind us was all Scotland fans, so you kind of felt like you were in it. So that's the one that stands out for sure. I remember trying to do my report after, my throat was like gone because I had been proper screaming.
I think we all were like that, weren't we, Gordon? Until we went and done the usual Scotland at the end.
Exactly.
It's funny. I remember that day. My team, the amateur team I was playing at the time, we get beaten in a playoff final that day, and we also had a Player of the Year night, and we're on the pub, and the pub we were in had 2 bits, so we had a wee function bit we were in, and I've never seen it. I remember standing on top of the table, throwing my pint up in there, and boys just running back and forward in the pub as if they'd naked boil themselves. And then
amazing. Like the gantry was like, it was like in the stadium. I've never seen because I've been lucky enough, obviously, to kind of be at the Old Firm games, cup finals, European nights, and there's always great atmospheres, but I've genuinely never seen anything like that. The stadium was just like moving, like, you've all seen the TV pictures as well, like just. So that would be the one that sticks out in terms of mistakes and reporting on a game. I don't think anything major. I think maybe like the odd time of maybe misidentifying a player that did something, but touch wood, nothing too drastic, I don't think.
Too bad then. So moving on to now, where you're the host of the SuperScoreBoard, which is obviously the biggest kind of football show in Scotland. What's that kind of standard day look like for you on a day, we'll say, where the Old Firm are both playing on a Saturday, so you're starting a bit earlier that day? What's your kind of day look like for that?
Yeah, listen, the more football we have on a Saturday, the better. So the social media age just kind of changed everything. So my preparation starts, like, it never stops and it never starts, if you know what I mean. It's just ongoing. So as soon as I wake up, like every day, grab the phone onto Twitter, see what's doing the rounds that day. So if we're talking 6-hour show, then you would be looking at pre-COVID, because everything's changed now. But pre-COVID, I'd be in about 10 for a 12 o'clock start. Get a quick look at the papers. Depending on what I've done at home, like what I was saying about the kind of research. So depending on what I sometimes do some of that at home or when I get in the office. A quick template of every game I've got on, which is usually, say, 4, 5, 6 games, whatever it may be. And just a watered down version of what I said there. Just a quick sort of, what's their form like? Who's been scoring the goals? What's been said during the week? What was it like last time they met? That sort of thing. We kind of run through for every game that we've got on. Maybe with a bit more focus on the Celtic Rangers games, because that's just part of the course in this part of the world. And then a show plan, which is a bit more. It's not as official as it sounds, by the way. It's quite fly by the seat of your pants stuff, but more like a kind of timeline. So these I want to describe as probably just if we're on from 2 till 6, they would just say, right, 2 o'clock, okay, round the grounds, Ibrox first, blah, 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 Celtic Park, whatever one of them's playing at home. And then I've got all my breaks in, where the breaks come, and just try and do a rough timeline of what we want to discuss then. Okay, once we've got all the team news, let's debate the hottest stories of the week, which is fucking compliance officer and whatever else every week at the moment.
Like, don't mention that, that's red hot then, Gordon.
Let's do that for 20 minutes. Right, next break, okay, back around the grounds again, kick off, first half teaser, any wee topics that I've thought of during the week, just daft things like, it can literally be anything. We've had like things about last week with the boys, said he was away for Robbie on Hamilton Accies and stuff like that. So whatever's caught my mind, I'll try and twist something to make it fit for the show. And like that. So that's a kind of timeline. So they're the two things that I'll arrange. My timeline of how the day hopefully will go, and then some kind of facts and stats on the two games. So whatever time I arrive, though, Hugh Keevins is in first. He's always there before me. It does not matter how early I go. He is there first. Like, see if it's an Old Firm game, he gets like nervous because he doesn't want anybody to like see him and like give him abuse on the train or that. So he'll get the train to work at like 8 in the morning just so that there's no football fans on the train. He's unbelievable.
See, I'm glad you mentioned
the Godfather, isn't he? The Godfather.
He's something else.
He's the star of the show, really. You know what I mean? And it's funny. Me and my old man were talking the other day, and my dad's like, "Hugh Keevins, he can be a bit of an arse." And I'm like, see when he does the devil's advocate stuff, do you think he prepares himself for it, where he'll say something just so that he knows he's going to get a reaction with it? Because I think he does, because I think he's excellent at it. He always gets kind of the hot points well, and everybody kind of wanting to talk at him.
I think it's more. Most of it really, I think, comes from the way he says things. He's obviously very forthright, and he can make like a fairly mundane opinion sound like really dramatic and really strong. I think it's more of that, rather like, I'm not sure he ever completely makes things up, but he does get caught up, and he gets caught up a lot, and he'll come out with an opinion, and quite often I think that's nonsense, which suits us perfectly, because then I'll just like argue back, or I'll try and test him on it. But I think definitely the way, and I think once he gets the reaction, or once he gets the bit between his teeth, he kind of loves it. Like, I always remember was it last year in January when Rangers went like a point ahead or something like that, and then he kept referring to Rangers as like the champions elect, like they were like 1 point ahead in January or something.
See with Hughes, even see when he uses his use of grammar is very like advanced, and see for a guy like me, it's a bit. Oh. You there, Gordon?
Aye, sorry, 2 seconds. Somebody must be phoning me. Sorry. Right, sorry, carry on.
Sorry. You're away for a job here, mate.
Did that before I come on.
No, see for Hugh, I just think that he uses grammar that I've got no clue what it means. But I find it amusing. I find it so amusing, you know what I mean, and dead funny, because he riles so many people up, and I think it's definitely class.
Aye, and that's the thing, we almost just make a joke out of it now. Sometimes we come out with a word and we're like, oh, that's top draw, like, what does that mean, sort
that's
of thing.
It's not even a word, I don't know, you need to look them up in the dictionary.
That's why it's a good mix, because like, I think if everybody in the show spoke like that, then people wouldn't be able to relate to it at times. And then, to be fair, if everybody spoke like some of the other folk, then maybe that wouldn't wash either. So that's why I think he's good to bounce off some of the other guys.
See, for me, Gordon, although you said that you got into the media side because playing wise, you didn't realise that you were going to make it playing wise. It's probably the closest thing, I'd imagine, with the banter and that flowing about the studio and that is close to a dressing room, especially with a lot of ex-players in there.
Aye, possibly. I think especially on a Saturday, and I'm really feeling that at the moment for some reason, whether it's just like lockdown and everybody's in need of a laugh or something. I don't know what it is, but I like that wee period. But an hour before the show, half an hour before the show on a Saturday, guys are all there. Who's bringing the biscuits this week? Slaughtering each other for bringing the cheap biscuits in. Getting a wee chat about what's been happening this week and what we're going to talk about in the show and who's playing for who and stuff like that. So, I really feel that at the moment. I like that. And obviously, because on a Saturday there's more of them. The weekday there's only 2 pundits, where there's 3 at the weekend, and we can have a bit of laugh with the predictions and the teaser questions.
Good, the stories are different class, man. See, football dressing room stories, I absolutely love them.
I know, that's the thing, and that's what I kind of hope, or that's the thing I want to do more of. I've always got that in my head, is trying to get them out of the guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine saying, "Oh, that was a good cross" and that, but what this game, does that remind you of something that you did? Did you ever have a manager who did that to you? Did you ever play in a game? And that's constantly what I feel like we're trying to do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
You've got kind of in the last couple of years, the show's changed a wee bit in terms of personnel. Obviously, Hugh Keevins is a stalwart; he's always there, and he probably always will be there. Then you brought in the likes of Alex Ray and my favourite duo, to be honest, Thursday night, Mark Wilson and Gordon Duncan. I don't know what it is. The two of them just have a great chemistry. I think they're brilliant. It's like I'm a Celtic fan, so I don't really listen much to now because I can't. But I intentionally listen a bit more on a Thursday because I just think the two of them are funny and I think they bounce off each other well. See, in the studio, do you just line the two of them up and let them go?
It's become so. Chemistry is the right word. They're brilliant, and it should, like, I think SuperScoreBoard for a while was quite stuck in its traditions of maybe trying to do sort of one journalist with one footballer and trying to make sure that you've got somebody to handle all the kind of serious stuff and whatever. And we still try and do that. You'll see that most of the other nights throughout the week, and there's still a place for that. But they two just sort of came together on a Thursday night, and it just worked. And everybody says, I'm not saying everybody likes it. You're never going to get that, but I feel like anybody who's got a favourite night, it tends to be Thursday, which is a compliment to their chemistry. But I think it maybe tells you a bit more about what people are looking for. Like, I like to think we can do the serious thing and the analysis, if need be. But I think it's quite telling that people just like a laugh. They just like to feel like they're in the room with you and just having a bit of fun, and that they took that down to a T.
I've never seen. So I was just about to say, I've never seen a season like it. See, the phone in and that, it's flying in the Gordon, because I think with COVID and that as well, and to be honest with you, there's been quite a bit of controversy this season. Yeah. I've never seen so many on my social media, the amount of people saying, "Oh, scoreboard the night, the phone in the night, can't wait to watch your phone in the night."
I know.
And I just think it's this is the most in recent years that I've ever seen it being as big as what it is.
No, I think you're right, because there's a few ways of looking at that. Obviously, you've got listening figures, right, which for radio, we tend to get them like every quarter of the year, and because of COVID, they're a bit up in the air at the moment. I think we kind of suspended them. What we do have is online listening. Obviously, we can see at any time how many people are streaming, how many podcasts. So officially, yep, it is flying. Like, the numbers are huge. But even anecdotally, like you say, I totally agree with you, and I can't put my finger on exactly why, whether it is lockdown or the drama. But yeah, I feel like Twitter all the time is just now full of people saying, talking about things that happened or looking forward to future shows. And I guess I know a lot of that recently will have been kind of Rangers fans wanting to enjoy the fact that they're on the up and Celtic are on the slide, when it's been the opposite for the last 10 years or whatever. But no, I agree, that's the way I feel as well. It's enjoyable to be a part of.
See, like, in terms of, you're saying that way, how it's increased now. Obviously, I think lockdown, because a lot of people are in the house and they can't do certain things, it makes a difference. But see, for you, obviously you're a Motherwell fan. Is it quite enjoyable for you, or do you find it the other way, that you have to repeatedly talk about Celtic and Rangers? You've got Rangers fans who, as much as it pains me, are quite right to put a bit into Celtic fans because they've had it for the last decade, so it's their turn to get to Celtic. But do you ever get fed up on a personal basis where you think, I'd like to talk about Motherwell now?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, but like supply and demand. You know what I mean? Like it's just like anything. Our job, we're a commercial radio station. We need to appeal to as many people at once as possible, which in this city is like mission impossible. Do you know what I mean? That's why I always laugh if people say, "Oh, your show's anti-Celtic or it's anti-Rangers." I feel like saying, "Why on earth would we do that? Like, why? Like, my job, my mortgage, my everything revolves around me and the show somehow being able to please both sides at once, if possible, which you cannot do." So the thought that we would deliberately kind of skew it one way or the other makes no sense. Anyway, so there are times where, obviously take now, for instance, compliance officer, or, the refs are out to get us, no, they're out to get us, no, they're out to get us. I think I think at times you're a bit like, it's about finding that balance for me of what makes people phone up, but also just because people are phoning up about something doesn't mean that everybody else that's listening is enjoying it.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? So we'll maybe have, I don't know, say 100 people try and phone in a night. That's extremely busy. That's mental. But 100,000 people might be listening.
Aye.
So you've kind of got to balance that up. Like, for instance, right, I know for a fact I could say 6 o'clock, right, here's your topic for tonight. Did Rangers die in 2012 or not? Now, the phone lines would go absolutely mental. But would the people listening at home really enjoy that, or would that be just, are you serious? You really want to debate this again, sort of thing? So just finding that balance.
I think the thing is with you, Gordon, as the host, I think it's the best thing. I think you come across. I know I'm going to be blowing smoke up your arse here. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm more than happy to receive it.
I think it's even better because you are very impartial. Yet the other pundits, they have kind of their allegiances. You've got Alec Gray, who's obviously played for Rangers. You've got Mark Wilson, who's obviously sides with Celtic, and obviously Gordon Dale, and that is Rangers. So for you to sit in the fence and be impartial, being a Motherwell fan, I think it adds to the show because you can just throw wee bombs in at either side for the minute.
I love that. And do you know what, though? I'm not sure. I like to think I would do that if I wasn't a Motherwell fan. I really do. Unfortunately, people are so suspicious here, and by the way, loads of people won't believe I'm a Motherwell fan. Do you know what I mean? I'll say the usual, what's your big team? What school did you go to? Like all that sort of carry on. So, but I think for most people, at least start off now with that kind of trust and realise that if I'm having a wee go, it's because I'm just trying to see that side of the debate rather than it being my own opinion. So I think it definitely does help. But I do like to think I'd do that even if I wasn't a Motherwell fan.
I think it's quite good. That makes a point well. You're very balanced, and it's something that when I listen, I quite enjoy. But I do like that you don't shy away. See if because sometimes what it's like with the callers can get a bit heated, particularly if generally we Celtic and Rangers fans, if their team's lost, they can get a bit heated and sometimes say daft things that they don't quite mean. And Hugh Keevins is good for it. He'll just dive over the top of something they've said and make it seem worse. But it's quite good that you can you hit back at the pundits sometimes and say, well, I think he actually means this. And it brings them back down a touch as well, which is quite good for the listener because it's nice when they've went off and one to have a wee bit of support.
That's how I think, sorry, Gordon, that's how I ever think if you ever have a wee holiday or I had to unfortunately have a wee sick day, another man of the people with Dak in there, I would tear that place up in there, Gordon. I really would, mate.
I can see you fitting in with Alex Ray, Mark Reedy and Jim Duffy.
I was going to say, me and Alec would be the battle of the Baldies. I wouldn't fancy taking that off him, to be fair.
Right, Gordon.
Alex is good.
Have you got any good stories of your time with kind of funny instance with callers or the pundits? Anything that sticks out in your mind?
Listen, the classic is always like when they swear or when they say something that they shouldn't. And I've explained this, I think, every time I kind of speak to people about it, is that the show works in like an 8-second delay, so that as long as I realise that they've swore within the 8 seconds, press the button and then it'll never go out on air. But some of them are just hilarious, especially like the first time it happened. I remember a woman said to me and Mark Wilson, Gordon Dale, so she was probably right to be fair, but she just come on and she was like, you three talk some amount of shite by the, and it was I feel like chewing the fat voice, like, and we were pissing ourselves. So the thing is, I've then hit the button to like cut it off, but we're still laughing. So if you're at home, you're thinking, what are they laughing at? Like, can't regain composure. There's another boy who's phoned in. He was a Rangers fan. He's like, see the thing about Scott Brown. He's like, that's what we're missing for Rangers midfield. He's like, look, I'm not saying I like the cunt. That's something that we're missing. That I was just like, oh my God, no way.
The things you can say and canny.
See, I remember one time.
Briggs, I know who that is, by the way, but I'm not saying anywhere about it. Yes, I'm not saying anywhere about
Brilliant.
it.
You're going to have to later on. We'll put it on.
I'll say it
see, I remember one time, and I actually remember I just pulled up outside the house, and I was just listening to the end of the call, and I think the guy was talking about Ryan Kent or something, and he was a Celtic fan, and it was just so unfortunate because it's a kind of Glasgow way of saying it, and it was an uncomfortable word they'd use. He's like, I mean, he's just raped us today. And I remember going, oh no, mate. And I could only think, what would that have been like for yous in the studio? Because you jumped and tapped it. And I remember thinking, oh shit, because he's no meant that in a bad way. But it's just, it doesn't sound well when it comes across.
That's Scots for you, innit? We use derogatory terms as a term of endearment and that.
I know, that's it. Glasgow dialect throws up all sorts of problems. Yeah, look, there are loads like that. And see as well, if they throw in a wee fuck or whatever, like, you've got to cut it off. And then what I'll usually kind of say to the producer is, look, just say to him, like, kind of no hard feelings, like, phone back another time, but you understand why it had to go. If somebody's been, like, particularly over the top, because the other thing we'll need to cut off that probably listeners have never really thought about is, like, see the kind of, like, legal side of things. Like, see especially as well, like, football very easily strays into that kind of territory, something that fans have never thought of. Like, sometimes I can see that folk are wanting to phone in, and their point to the producer is that whoever, a referee, and they'll name him, and they want to say that he's corrupt, and I'm like, you can't say that. Like, we cannot have that, like, going on here. Like, that's our fault if we allow that sort of accusation. You can say, oh, I think he's hopeless and he gets decisions wrong or whatever, but I can't let you phone up and say that somebody's corrupt. Do you know what I mean? So that would need to be dumped as well, and that's maybe the side of it that listeners don't think about. The swearing one's obvious.
Well, that's excellent, and this is unusual for me because we usually let everybody just go as long as they want, but due to time constraints with this new shorts, we'll need to throw it there. We have a wee thing that we're going to do now, a wee section where obviously you always do Beat the Pundit and you host it, and you never get to play the game. So
I'll be hopeless this.
So today you're going to try and beat the Dak.
Yeah,
right.
You're putting Gordon's reputation on the line here. I'm telling you.
I'll be hopeless. Listen, I can hear my wee one screaming downstairs. What I've done all day and last night is try and sort her out. So I'm getting my excuses in early.
Right. So I apologise first and foremost for anybody who listens to this. I've not really fact checked anything that I've done here. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. Right, but I'm fairly certain I'm right. So, Dak, if you could remove your headphones, and Gordon will go first.
Right, I'll remove my headphones, all right? And I'll plug the sponsor while Gordon does his questions, mate, right?
Our sponsor for this episode is EM Products. Normally we have our rain gear on, but we've got their stuff on today, so thanks for that. Right, Dak, Shiny Head, can you hear me? No, we're all right, we're good. Right, Gordon. What position were Auchinleck in the league when they were awarded the West Region Premier League last year because of COVID?
Fifth,
okay. Second question. Scott Brown has the most appearances through 9 in a row. Who has the second most?
James Forrest.
Third question. Who did Rangers receive their record transfer fee for?
Alan Hutton. I'm nervous, man. I'm shitting myself here.
The fourth question, and this is for Kevin O'Donnell. I had a different question. My mate, he's done a good job here. So wee fella here. Which Scotland manager has the most international caps from his playing days?
McLeish.
And the final question is, which team play at Bayview Stadium?
East Fife.
Excellent.
Right.
We bring it back in. That's us done with that.
He's away, isn't he? He's away for a job.
Do you hear me now?
Right, mate. You ready, Dak?
I'm ready, mate. Here, can't I let Gordon win here? Honestly,
I tell you, I think he's going to win. To be honest, I think it's.
Has he done well? I seen him hinting. You gave him time as well. You had to cut it 3-5 seconds, man. He was thinking about a couple.
That was pretty quick.
I'll cut it to 3 seconds for every question I should have known.
All right, go for it, mate. Let's see what we can do.
Which position were Auchinleck in the league when they were awarded the West Region Premier League last year?
Fifth, I think.
Scott Brown has the most appearances through 9 in a row. Who is the second most?
I'm going to go with Callum McGregor.
Who did Rangers receive their record transfer fee for?
Who did they receive it for?
Aye, what player did they sell for the most?
I'm a Rangers fan here, and I'm going to get this wrong. That's what I think, mate.
You still want a 3-second time limit?
No. Let's just a couple of seconds.
Right.
Oh, no.
5, 4, 3.
Arteta.
Arteta, right.
I'll go with Arteta, mate. I couldn't think there. Sorry. No,
Right.
I'm saying sorry to Rangers fans. I can't believe.
Which Scotland manager has the most international caps from his playing days?
Alec McLeish.
And which team play at Bayview Stadium?
Bayview.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the lower Scottish teams. It's
There's only 30 inches from.
Arbroath.
Arbroath.
I don't think it's Arbroath. No, I can't believe that. I've had a mare there.
That's got to be a Duncan victory, that.
To be honest with you, Dak, I don't even think you've been as good as having a mare.
I know.
Right, so the scores, I can't even remember how you do this, so I'm just going to do it my way.
You do your way, that's fine.
The first question is, what position were Auchinleck in the league when they were awarded the West Region Premier League last year? It was third. You both got that.
We both said fifth, though, which is interesting.
Gordon, it's embarrassing me. I'm meant to be doing a West of Scotland here.
I don't know why. I really thought it was fifth. Oh, well, there you go.
Right, I've probably been wrong, to be honest with you. In Dak's favour, we spoke about this in an episode a couple of weeks ago, and I think he said fifth because Johnson Borough won.
That's what it was.
That's what it is.
Fifth.
They won early.
That's what it was.
They won early.
Somebody was fifth. I knew somebody was fifth.
Johnston Borough. Right, number 2. Scott Brown has missed the most appearances through 9 in a row. Who is the second? Dak, you said McGregor. McGregor has made 199 appearances. James Forrest has made 219. So James Forrest was
injured, I know.
What?
Only
much earlier, but
only him and Scott Brown have played through all 9 seasons.
Right.
The third question: who did Rangers receive their highest transfer fee for? Dak, you've said Arteta. Arteta is actually their second or third with £7 million. The winner is Gordon with that one. Alan Hutton, £9 million to Villa. So that's 2-0. Dak, you've got 2 questions to pull it back.
Oh, no chance, mate.
Scotland manager who has the most international caps as a player. Alex McLeish was second. First was Bertie Votes.
That's a trick question, isn't it?
It's a wee cheeky one. 96.
That is a decent question.
Okay. We already have our winner. Final question. Which team play at Bayview Stadium? Dak said Arbroath. They play Gayfield.
Gayfield there, mate. Aye.
Gordon was right with East Fife. So he wins 3-0. First ever beat. Do you know what? I think we're going to keep this.
That's a doing.
Gordon, well done.
You're not using the rain as an excuse now, Gordon, by the way. You're sitting there.
I've not seen him.
Big smile.
I was just saying that.
I'll need to drown my sorrows tonight.
I had a tiebreaker question. I just want to see how close any can get.
Go for it.
Right. David Weir and Kenny Miller are tied as Rangers' most capped Scottish internationalists. How many caps do they have? Closest wins the tiebreaker. Dak, you can go first.
62.
62, Gordon.
By the way, he'll not be far off, I don't think. By the way, I think he's really close, so I'll just go 64.
69. Right, well, we're going to have to end it on that. This is our first short episode. We hope people enjoyed it. Gordon, we really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. And if you would ever like to say to Mark Wilson and Gordon Dale to come on and do a wee PG and Dak special, we'd be delighted with that. Thank you so much for coming on.
Man, Gordon, honestly, I appreciate your time.
Cheers, Gordon.